Does God really care about how we worship Him? A lot of people today seem to think that it doesn't really matter how we worship God, as long as we say, I have faith in Jesus. Um, that's it. It doesn't really matter outside that. And whatever you believe, whatever you do, that's your own thing. You have your truth, I have my truth. But as long as we all say we're worshiping Jesus, that's fine. It doesn't really matter. But I believe God does care about how we worship Him, even if we claim that we are worshiping the true God. Um, and I want to use the example of the Israelites coming out of Egypt. So the Israelites, God saved them out of captivity and bondage to the Egyptians miraculously through many plagues that He poured out upon the Egyptians, opening the Red Sea, leading them by a pillar of fire at night and a pillar of cloud during the day. Miraculous things. They leave Egypt. 40 days later, they come to Mount Sinai. And at Mount Sinai, this is where God gave them the law, gave them the Ten Commandments. But before God wrote it on the tablets of stone, He actually spoke it to the Israelites and said, "This is my law. Will you keep it?" And they said, "Yes, we will." But they were terrified by the voice of God coming down from the mountain, so they asked Moses to go up. So God spoke these Ten Commandments. He told them what they should do and what they shouldn't do, and that He wanted to be worshipped. And they agreed to it. And Moses went up on the mountain to convene with God and talk with Him because the people were terrified. And so he goes up there and he stays up there for a long time. And time goes on and the people are like, "What's going on? Moses is taking forever. He might have died." And they, within a relatively short span of time, seem to forget how God saved them and what He had just told them, how He wanted to be worshipped. And they said, "We want a God we can see." So they asked Aaron to make them a god. Aaron took their gold and everything and made this golden calf for them to worship. Now this is bad, right? And a lot of the time, I know me growing up, always thought this as them worshiping, saying this golden calf is what brought us out of Egypt. But while they do say that, it's interesting. I want to pick it up in Exodus chapter 32, starting in verse 4, and it says, "And he, Aaron, received the gold from their hand, and he fashioned it with an engraving tool and made a molded calf. Then they said, 'This is your God, O Israel, that brought you out of the land of Egypt.' So when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it, and Aaron made a proclamation and said, 'Tomorrow is a feast to Yahweh.'" So it wasn't like they made this new God and they said, "No, Yahweh, Jehovah, He didn't save us. It was this golden calf." No, they said, we're still saying it's the true God that saved us. But we want something we can see, like how the Egyptians had their gods that they could see. We want something we can see. Make us a golden calf, something we can worship. We're building this golden calf, something beautiful made out of pure gold. And we're building this altar to it, and we're going to worship and have a feast to Yahweh. Now we know this wasn't what God wanted. And God got angry and really was about to just cut off Israel altogether and said, "You know what, I'm cutting them off. I'm going to stand up a new line through Moses," and that's that. And Moses pleaded with Him, and instead God said, "Okay, those that were standing against me will be killed." And He punished them, and He plagued the Israelites for that, but He didn't cut off and null His promise to them. But the point is that even if you do say you are worshiping the true God, but you choose you want to worship Him your way rather than His way, you're doing the same thing the Israelites did. And it's very important because a lot of people say, "I love Jesus. I love Jesus." And yet they continue living outside of a way that Jesus would want. And I'm not saying that no one's going to mess up and have sin in their lives. I mess up, everyone messes up, and we got to continue to come to God and ask for forgiveness. But what I am saying is when you say, "It doesn't matter what I do, Jesus died to save me, and now I can live however I want because I have my faith in Jesus," That's not true. Jesus said, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. Jesus told us how we show our love for him. Jesus also said, and on the day he comes again, many will come to me saying, Lord, Lord, didn't we cast out demons and raise the dead and heal the sick in your name? And he said to them, depart from me, you workers of lawlessness, for I never knew you. So God does care. He cares about the way we worship him. He's laid it out in the scriptures for us to read and to understand his ways. And when we mess up, of course, we have an advocate with him. But we should not go saying, it doesn't matter how we worship God, as long as we say it's Jesus. No, that is not the truth from the Word of God, and it was a hard lesson the Israelites learned early on, and they learned it multiple times, as we all do in our lives. God bless.